Every year, there's a group of 5 running backs that feel impossible to pass up, but before you know it, your team is 1-3 and you're scrambling trying to trade your way out of that hell. You ever stare at a player so long that you just want to believe? For me this year, it's Breece Hall in round 3. Let me walk you through why I think he's one of the riskiest picks in 2025. Here's what's been eating at me. We're drafting Breece like we're getting the guy who can be a cheat code, but look at the setup. Justin Fields is the quarterback now. That's not a dump-off quarterback. The GM already said that this is going to be a committee. Braylon Allen and Isaiah Davis aren't just bodies, they're a part of the plan. And if we're being honest, we're still paying a price. Like, Breece is going to be getting all of the high-value work, but is that actually going to be the case? I've done it. I've chased the highlight reel plays, the breakaway runs, the moments that made you feel like you hit the jackpot. But this year, those pieces just don't add up. Justin Fields doesn't check down. That's not his game. If Breece Hall loses even a chunk of that passing work, we are in big trouble. He would basically need to go nuclear on efficiency just to pay off that price tag. And that's before you factor in that Fields is stealing red zone work on the ground as well, and before you even factor in any of this committee talk that's been going on in New York. But what about this? Breece's broken tackle rate, it dropped. His production after contact last year also dropped. So what are we doing here? We're betting all of those concerns don't matter, and somehow he still hits a ceiling that made him special a year ago, 2 years ago. And this is where it kind of flipped for me. I kept telling myself I was getting a discount, 3rd round, that's a value, right? But it's not. It's definitely not a discount. You're not drafting 2022 Breece Hall, you're drafting the idea of what he was and ignoring what's already changed. So yeah, I can't do it. I'd rather just take backs that don't need perfect circumstances to pay off in this range. But if you think that's the riskiest pick on the board, just wait until you see the next guy who lived off of touchdown luck and is priced like it's about to happen again. This is the 4th round pick that looks smart in every fantasy draft until you realize that you bought the top. Because the more I sit with it, James Cook is about to bust in 2025. Let's just lay it all out there. Cook had 18 touchdowns last year, 10 over expected. That doesn't happen twice. That kind of touchdown luck almost never repeats. But here's what really gets me. We're drafting him like he's a locked-in workhorse, but he wasn't even top 30 in snap share. If it wasn't for those touchdowns last year, we wouldn't have been talking about James Cook and this amazing season he had, because it actually wasn't. Not to mention they still have Ray Davis, a guy that's built for more goal line work in the future. Look, I get the appeal. You see the big plays, the speed, the hands, but then you take a step back and it's like, where's the floor with this guy? And that's what really scares me. The Bills don't check down to backs. That's just not who they are. You're not getting cheap PPR points there. 43% of Cook's fantasy points came from touchdowns last year. Do you know how insane that number is? Because touchdowns are fluky. Let's be honest. What happens if those don't hit this year and you draft him where he's currently going? I'll tell you what'll happen. You'll have drafted a guy who needs to be hyper efficient again while splitting early downs in an offense that can score a million different ways. It's not that Cook's bad. It's that you're paying for that best case scenario outcome. You're paying for the ceiling, and you're paying for it in the 4th round. That's where I had to check myself. Like, I keep thinking, great offense, lead back, safe bet, but that's the trap. It's really not that safe. It's a guy that needs touchdowns to hit again, or you're really just starting with a bunch of weeks at 9 points. So yeah, I'm out on James Cook at this price. I want guys who don't need touchdown luck just to justify their ADP, because you're drafting for ceiling at a ceiling price, and you're just setting yourself up for regret. I'm just sick of buying the top on guys like that. Speaking of drafting the right way, if you want my full draft kit for free, ranking, sleepers, busts, cheat sheets, go to fantasyaccelerator.com or just hit the first link in the description. You can get full access for free up until week 1, but I'm not promising that that deal is gonna last all summer. And if that one sounds bad, the next guy is a late round value that quietly is gonna destroy your bench before you even know it. What if I told you the late round running back everyone's hyping up is the guy that's most likely to clog your bench? Not because of talent, not because of depth chart, but because of the one thing that makes his role super fragile. Your league mates are already staring at this guy on all the sleeper lists, but let's look at what's actually here. Tracy had the 23rd most touches among backs last year, which feels like he's earned the shot, right? But he was tied for the 3rd most fumbles at the position. And what did the Giants do? They drafted Cam Scattaboo, and they still have Devin Singletary. That's not confidence, that's insurance. I get why it's tempting. I've been there. Late round guy, he looks like he's at the top of the depth chart, but then you start adding it up, and Scattaboo's the better blocker, the better inside runner, and the better goal line option. Tracy's struggled in pass protection, and when that happens, it's easy to lose snaps immediately, even when you didn't think that's what you were asking for. And here's the part that really seals it for me. The Giants have one of the NFL's toughest running schedules, so even if Tracy holds the job, which isn't guaranteed, you're drafting in one of the worst offensive environments you could pick for a committee back with a shaky grip on the roll. And that's assuming touches fall his way, assuming the offense actually gets red zone opportunities. There's a lot of assumptions there, especially especially for a 10th round pick that people are calling a sleeper. There's tons of ceiling in this range too that you're passing on to get him. And this is where I kind of changed my mind. I kept thinking, but it's late, what's the harm? All of these stories that we talk ourselves into, but the harm is clogging your roster up with a guy that's never gonna start for you. So yeah, Tyrone Tracy, I'm not doing it. There's still real upside in this range of drafts. So that's the trap at the bottom of your drafts, but what about another mid-round name that feels safe, but you're kind of relying on one big play to survive? Every time Kenneth Walker's name pops up in drafts, let's be real, I wanna click it. But then I start thinking it through and it just feels bad. So here's where I'm at. Walker's whole fantasy value rides on explosive plays, and that's fun and all until it's not, because the role is way more fragile than you think. Seattle's offense is changing, more 2 tight end sets, more fullback sets, more spread. Like, we've been hearing the chatter all offseason. It just doesn't scream clear workhorse back to me. I want to believe, I've done it before, Walker's electric when he hits, those long runs, those missed tackles. You feel really smart when it works, but here's the truth. Charbonnet was already taking a ton of work last year, valuable touches, third downs, goal line stuff. And this year the role might expand if you kind of read the tea leaves. Seattle's building around ball control. They want safe hands, steady production. But it wouldn't be crazy to question if Walker's gonna be that guy. His target volume dips and Charbonnet is already getting a ton of money touches. So when you think about it, what are you actually holding here with Walker? You're holding a name and hoping that the big plays save you, and I just don't want to build my draft around hope. And that's kind of where it flips for me. I kept thinking, it's the 5th round, it's fine, but it's not, because that's the pick that needs to start for you immediately, every single week, bring you usable weeks. And when you're relying on breakaway runs and nothing else, that's how you lose those close weeks in fantasy. So yeah, Walker, I'm passing. I've seen this movie before. But speaking of winning, if you want my top 150 rankings for free, there's a link in the description. That's what I'm using this year for every draft. But if your league gets it first, you might be cooked. And if the safe vet at running back is more your style than someone like Kenneth Walker, you're not gonna like what I'm about to say. James Conner looks like a safe 5th round running back you can trust, but let me show you how this goes wrong. Conner had 283 touches last year, over 1,500 yards, 9 touchdowns. It looks pretty solid, but he's 30 now, and this is where backs fall off, and fast. And the Cardinals have already been talking about a 1A, 1B situation in this backfield. That's not news. That's kind of what they're planning for this year. But here's what really sticks with me. Conner's game, it's volume. It always has been, but what happens if the volume starts slipping a little bit? Benson's younger, Benson's faster, he's fresher, the team wants him to hit. And if Conner loses just enough work for that to matter, you're left with a grinder on a team that might not score enough to prop that up. And sure, the Cardinals have one of the league's easiest rushing schedules. That sounds like a plus, but it's a plus for Benson too, and it's a plus for that split. It's actually what makes this transition a little bit easier if they decide that they want to lean on youth a little bit more. So you're drafting Conner hoping that he starts hot, but then what? What's the plan when the touches start to fade, when Benson takes more work, like week 4 and beyond? You're holding a pick that can't help you anymore, and you can't trade him. So you're in a really tough spot. So that's where I caught myself. I kept saying, it's fine. I've taken this guy before. I'll just ride him early, flip him. But history is just brutal for running backs at this age. And Arizona's not handing him 280 touches again if Benson shows anything. So if you want to draft for like weeks 1 through 4 and survival, I guess just setting yourself up for basically a dead spot the rest of the way. You do you. I'm passing on James Conner. We've got to get ahead of this one before it's too late.